This tutorial is a follow-up to my previous tutorial that showed how to make a custom UMP45 for Halo Custom Edition. In this tutorial we're going to take that weapon and add a few attachments to it. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to your Halo Custom Edition root directory, data, weapons, and create a backups folder like this one, and then just go ahead and copy your UMP45 folder into that backups folder so that when you change this one, if you mess it up, you still have the working one from the previous tutorial. And then you're going to want to go ahead and go to models and open up that model. I've already got it open here. So first thing, go ahead and select all of the pieces of the mesh. Don't select any of the nodes and markers. And then you're going to want to right click and hide unselected. Alright. So first thing we're going to add is a suppressor, which if you open up the folder for this tutorial, you'll see some reference images for the EOTech site and the suppressor we're going to be adding. The suppressor is going to be super easy. We're just going to select a cylinder, select auto grid, lower these height segments to 1 and sides to 10. We're just going to create a cylinder like this. Make sure it's centered on the y-axis, and then just sort of line it up with the height of the barrel and move it back to about there. For the radius, I'm going to go with 0.8, and the length or height is going to be 8. And for the modeling portion, that's pretty much all you got to do for a suppressor. Super easy. Now for the holographic site, the first thing we're going to want to do is actually create a rail. And for rail, I'm actually going to, create a box, center it on the y-axis, and then I'm going to move it down here. I'm actually going to start on the bottom. I'm going to put rails here, here on the side, and then also up on the top for the actual site. Okay, I'm going to apply the blue material that I use. And I'm going to go ahead and flip this over just because it'll be a little easier to work with that way, I think. Now I'll make it a lot shorter and a pretty good amount wider. To make things easy, I'm going to want to be able to just copy the same rail everywhere, so just make it about the size you want for each of those spots. In my previous tutorial, I had a reference image for one of the reference images had some rails on it. You see that it goes directly over top of these screws here, or whatever they are. I didn't really put any detail on mine, so we're going to want it about long enough to fit over those. Alright, once you've got it roughly the right length, go ahead and select Object Properties, turn on Backface Cull, and then convert it to an editable poly. I'm going to delete this back-facing polygon, and then we're going to go ahead and grab the whole thing and hold down Shift and drag it down to create another one, and move it back to where it's just barely overlapping. Grab this plane, move it to about there. I think that'll do. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and grab this one and move it in just a bit. About like that. Now grab the whole element and drag it over here. And then create one more. On this one, we're going to grab one of these side polygons again and make it real little like that. Grab the whole element. I'm going to go to front view for this part. I'm going to detach it from the main. Grab that little piece and drag it about the same distance to the side. And raise this number to 8. Alright, that's more than I needed, so just go ahead and delete the excess ones. And the rest of these, I'm just going to go ahead and center them. Alright, now grab the main piece again, right click, attach, and attach it to each of these smaller pieces. I'm going to go ahead and grab the whole object and rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm going to place it on the side of the gun here. I think that looks like it's about the right size. Okay, now grab that Y coordinate and drag a new one over here. Flip it on the y-axis and give it the same coordinate, except positive instead of negative. Now grab this first one again and drag it up here. Flip it on the z-axis and go ahead and line that up about right there. Okay, now the next step is going to be to model the EOTech site that we want here. So I'm going to go to front view, and I'm going to create a plane. Lower the length and width segments to 1, add our blue material. I'm going to right click and make sure that backface cull is on. Alright, now I'm just going to try to make this sort of rough shape right here first. And I'm going to probably do it a little simpler than it really ought to be done. You can add as much or as little detail as you want on yours. Before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and move it out a little bit past the edge of the rail. Alright, now okay, and then go ahead and center that last piece on the y-axis. Now that is going to come out much too thin though, so I'm going to grab all of these faces and move them out a bit. Okay, that should do. Now let's see, I'm going to grab all of these faces and drag them in a little. Grab these two verts and move them down and to the left just a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a face to fill in this sort of triangle. And then I'm going to grab these edges right here, hold down shift and drag them out. Right about to there. Just lower that a little. I'm going to drag these over to 0 as well. And this as well. Okay, now go to this tab right here, Hierarchy, Effect Pivot Only, and center the pivot to the y-axis. Now go to Edit, Clone, choose Copy, not Instance, and mirror it to the y-axis. Go ahead and attach the two. Select vertex, choose all of these, and weld. And then you can go to target weld and sort of weld away this line that it left in the middle of everything. Alright, now go to polygon, create, and fill in this spot right here. And you can adjust this however you need to. Mine just seems a little low. And now this thing seems to have come out sort of awkwardly sized. Move that down a little bit and make the whole thing just a little bit bigger still. Okay, now go ahead and use the create tool and fill in this open area in here. Now grab one of these polygons, duplicate it, and rotate it 90 degrees. Move it over to about there. And then just go ahead and line it up with the opening.